Unlock the secrets, learn new tactics, and build a winning strategy to win the aging game. Welcome to the Aging Game with Bruce and Susan.
Welcome to the Aging Game with Bruce and Susan. This is season 2, episode 6, elevating your immune health, featuring Dr. Robert Sorenson. So it's great to have Dr. Sorenson here. It's going to be wonderful. We can't wait to dive into how we're going to stay healthy and hopefully live a long life. So.
I think this was my most exciting. I was most excited for this episode. I've said it in previous episodes, so I really don't care. I have Crohn's. So I was excited to kind of talk about this and learn different things and kind of hear all the things you do. So I was really excited. Thank you for coming today.
Of course, the area of longevity and being more involved in your health outcomes is growing right now. The science is really strong in a multitude of areas, and it's just an exciting time to watch the world of wellness.
Yeah, it really is. Kind of getting into this topic, I'm a little bit of a nerd for numbers. I don't know where this personality trait came from because I hated them growing up, but I love them now as an adult. So I was kind of reading some different things. I thought this was interesting. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So I read that 70% of your immune health is located in your gut.
Yeah, it's interesting that for most people, the most important thing of the day, what we're putting in our body, has the greatest impact on our health. And we don't think about it very frequently at all, about how our breakfast, how our snacks, how our lunch, dinner influences our immune system. And I think that's totally true. And I think we feel it. If you feel bad waking up in the morning, if you think about it, you can largely contribute it or correlate it with what you did the day prior.
Well, I do the same thing every day. I live on chips and guacamole. I'm sure that's atrocious, but they have the run on Dunkin'. I run on chips and guac. And I'm sure that pays a lot of consequences to my problems in life.
That's a superpower I think one has.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be right back. So welcome back. It's great to have Dr. Sorenson here. We're going to talk a lot about how we're going to stay healthy and get healthy possibly. And so we're going to get right into it.
When experience matters the most, Senior Housing Solutions uses over 30 years of industry knowledge to provide expert advice for those considering a move to a senior living community. We are the matchmakers of senior housing. Call today at 239-595-0207 for your free consultation.
Yeah, so before we get started, I wanted to ask you, I ask everybody the same question, and I love where this always takes us, but what is something you know today that you wish you knew sooner in your life or career about kind of the topic at hand today?
It's good to be uncomfortable. Old adage, growth happens when you push yourself, and that couldn't be more true about your own health and wellness.
Wow, that's a good one. I'd say that works on a few different levels.
Is that like no pain, no gain type of thing, right?
Look at you.
The pain part, maybe we're taking it just a little bit too far.
So before we start getting to all of our questions, tell us a little about you and who you are and what you do and your background and everything.
I'll give you the quick snapshot. I've spent about 15 years in the health and wellness industry. I grew up tremendously overweight as a kid, super sedentary. When I got into college, on my 21st birthday, I bought my first pair of running shoes. I went out for my first mile ever. I made it to the end of the road and was completely tanked. Something really needs to change. Changed my undergrad into exercise science, fell in love with that education aspect of it, immediately found a fantastic job coming out of the university, loved the people that I was working with, knew that this was something that I cared deeply about, continued my education into a master's in gerontology, still continued loving what I did, continued my education into a doctor of education and health professions. And now I'm still actively working in the health and wellness industry as an adjunct professor back in the program that I went through at Florida Gulf Coast University. I do some wellness consulting, and I'm also working on opening up a business in the city of Bonita Springs.
Wow. You definitely don't look overweight anymore.
I know.
Times have changed.
Go back and look at my eyes when he said that. I was like, wait, what? Who? Where? That's remarkable. I just ride the Peloton, and obviously it's not doing its job.
So we'll go on from there. So can you talk about alternative therapies and what they are and how people can use them, and especially because we're talking about seniors and how it all relates to that.
So at the top of the show, I mentioned that it's an exciting time in wellness, and it's really an exciting time for alternative therapies. We're seeing that change from what's considered medicine 2.0 more into a medicine 3.0, where the individual has more control or more influence over their health outcomes. And my definition of alternative therapies is anything that can be used in conjunction with modern medicine, pharmaceuticals, physicians, etc., to improve your whole person wellness. So this could be something from deliberate exposure to heat, deliberate exposure to cold. This could be acupuncture. This could be massage therapy. This could be some forms of exercise. Anything within that realm, I would personally consider as an alternative therapy.
So that's interesting. You talk about heats and cold, so like saunas, cold plunges,
Exactly.
and like immune boost, things of that nature.
So when you talk about exposure to extreme heat and cold temperatures, most people jump straight to sauna and straight to cold plunge, when really those are just a tool. They are really just the most convenient way to access the extremes. When we look at exposure to extreme heat, we're looking for a set specific temperature that is most easily done with inside a sauna. But you could experience the same benefits if you were to put on multiple layers of clothing, go out at noon in the middle of a Florida summer, and heat your body to that same temperature. Is it going to be as exciting or enjoyable? Definitely not. That's why in the zeitgeist right now, we hear so much about sauna, just because it's becoming more available for use as a tool.
You talked a little bit about like acupuncture. And do you see seniors doing that? How does that benefit them? What is the benefit, I guess, of acupuncture?
Acupuncture is something that can be tremendously powerful for pain management, specifically with arthritis. We see individuals who use it, they swear by it. They continue to use it because they like the way that it makes them feel. It's a practice that's been around for literally thousands of years, and those who have been doing it through Western medicine have pretty well documented examples of it being beneficial.
Yeah, it's interesting. My mom and I have always kind of been like, that stuff's like a little different, not really our cup of tea, like, interesting. But oddly, my mom was in a car accident and a friend really pushed her to do acupuncture, and now she swears by it. She's like a walking, talking advertisement for them. And I have a neck injury, which causes me some problems in my back and shoulder. And I was just like, at this point, like, I'm desperate to try anything. So I tried cupping, and I fell in love with it. Like I really think it was great. Like, and then this is so wild. I don't know why I'm going to say this, but like I got into blood cupping, and everybody was just like, you're crazy. You're a vampire. Like, this is just nuts. And I have to say, like, I've lived with neck and back pain for 3 years that I would say at times is debilitating. And if I do this, I can tell you I'm 100% pain free. I would not certainly recommend it in the manner that I'm doing it, obviously going to a professional or something. But I think when I was doing that and then researching for this episode and you coming on, I think that what's important is that people might have a misconception in their mind or think like, oh, this is, too bizarre or whatnot. But I mean, I speak from experience. Like, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have been like, no. And now I'm like, no, you should explore anything because if it works for you, who cares?
You nailed it there. It's the most important selection is the one that works for you. Being open-minded to trying these things and also trying one at a time.
Yeah.
So that we can determine whether or not this is the one that's helping or this is the one that's making things worse.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Is I think people get so frustrated. I know I have. And, I kept saying to my doctor, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. I'm having this pain. And then you want to try multiple things. You just want something to give you relief. And then, but you don't know what's giving you that relief and what's not. So I think that's a really important thing is one at a time and figure it out.
And that's a hard practice to preach to seniors specifically, because we do know that time is finite and we want to feel better tomorrow. So one of the common faults is, all right, we're going to throw physical therapy, occupational therapy. I'm going to do this diet and this injection all at the same time. Well, if you're feeling better, you have no idea which one is actually causing that.
Yeah, you're doing them all.
So, it's so challenging because, there are many doctors who are very traditional and, they're, pump you up with a lot of meds where, looking at things holistically and looking at things, with there's alternative therapies, where, how do you get that type of advice? How do you find that professional who understands all that?
That can be a trial and error situation. You're going to know rather quickly whether or not your physician is open to adding these on as an additional layer to what they're already prescribing. I'm also a man of science. If the science is documented and we have statistical evidence that something is going to be helpful, and my physician is trying to disprove or just discredit that, I'm going to question whether or not I'm seeing the right individual.
I think that's important. I think nowadays, like, you really have to be an advocate more in your health. You can look back and I think people go to the doctor, this is my ailment, they gave you a treatment and like that's kind of all you did. But I think being more proactive, it was really interesting. We had Jeff, when we were talking about hospice, and he was saying, like, have that conversation with your doctor, let them know so that they're more willing to have that conversation back with you. And I thought that was really great advice. And I think that kind of goes with all of your health. You need to say, like, hey, open to whatnot, or have that conversation, but make sure that your doctor is that, not just stuck in the 80s.
And I think we are in a paradigm shift where people are becoming more empowered to do that. And physicians are going to have to respond to that, especially as our boomer generation is moving into the deeper stages of retirement and the aging process. These are individuals who are running Fortune 500 companies. They're used to being in charge. We need to still give them that opportunity to take charge of their health.
I know in one of our future episodes, we're going to have Dr. Larry Sternberg talk about Parkinson's. And I was wondering, are there different types of therapies that you're finding that are, helping people with Parkinson's?
One of the most amazing things that I've seen in my career is how music therapy benefits those with Parkinson's, and watching how an individual can truly come alive, walk in a way that they can't walk when they're being encouraged or taught by a credentialed music therapist.
Remember when we had Jackie on and she was talking about the cognitive program that she has upstairs at the Baker Senior Center? I had the wonderful opportunity to tour there, and I attended a music therapy session, and it was extremely moving. And I had come at the time of day where I saw these people arriving. So you kind of saw them, maybe a little more somber, or you just kind of, And then to be in that room and see it, they were all smiling, they were all singing, they were all enjoying it. And when they left that session, they left and I felt their faces had more life to it, that whether it was a smile or just something in their eye, but there was more purpose in their step. And I think music therapy is so important, and people should definitely explore how to bring that into their healthcare journey, whatever stage they're in. I played music bingo the other night. I kicked some major butt, by the way. And it was so much fun. So, I mean, if I'm enjoying that, everyone loves music. We talked about it with Dr. Linden. You guys are singing while you're getting a filling or whatever. I mean, everyone loves music.
It's true.
So it always brings back memories.
I just started thinking about going to my doctor saying, I need music therapy, and just,
I'm sure it would be, it's like, huh? But it's so important, and we do have to be our own advocates. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, what's the average time you're, and this is no dig or whatever at a physician, but like, really, what is the amount of time that you're really getting in front of your actual doctor? It's minutes. And to make what kind of an impact. So I think you do have to be your own advocate and share, so that time that you have together can be more impactful, more appropriate. And then I think exploring options like, what you're doing, in that you're bringing a vital role to it. You're giving a lot more time to people.
So let's talk a little bit about Because I know you were involved with the sauna and the cold plunge. Let's kind of talk more in more detail about the benefits of doing that.
So let's break it down one at a time. Let's talk about specific exposure to heat and specific exposure to cold temperatures. When it's heat, sauna, or otherwise, we're really trying to, over the course of a week, accumulate somewhere in that 50 to 60 minute range. A lot of the misunderstanding is that you have to stay in there for a super long window of time and let yourself melt away. That couldn't be further from the truth. The science is telling us if you get in there for 5 to 7 minutes and then over time grow more acclimatized to the heat, that you're still reaping those same benefits. So for somebody who is maybe skittish about trying sauna, really pushing on them that we start small. We let it meet you where you're at in terms of your heat tolerance, and then as well as how available you are to a sauna. Temperature wise, again, it can vary quite a ways, somewhere in between that 170 to 210 degrees. Obviously, the hotter that it is, the shorter duration that you have to be in there. But when you allow yourself to be uncomfortable, again, that's where we reap the most benefits. You're looking at physical benefits, you're looking at neurological benefits, you're looking at very similar benefits to cardiovascular exercise forms of, just because of the way that it's going to elevate your heart. And some studies even show that it's going to reduce your all-cause mortality by up to 40%. So it's not just something for seniors. Sauna should be something for everyone. And again, this is something that's been around for thousands of years. It's now just being Americanized and packaged in a way that's a little bit more digestible for us to access.
I see a lot of people, specifically like celebrities, doing the cold plunge. I know Mark Wahlberg is really big on it. And you always, it's funny you said acclimatize, and I wanted to laugh. There's a girl just like getting into her pool, and you know, like it's always like when it's cold, she's like acclimatize. And I was thinking about that in my head and just kind of having a laugh that think like we've been seeing these things and hearing them, but you're right, they are packaging it and making it more aesthetically pleasing or whatnot.
It reminds me a lot of what we saw with yoga in the early 2000s, and then even sushi in the 90s, where this is just something that didn't exist stateside, but it was presented to us then in a way that was like, oh, I want to definitely try that.
Yeah, I want yoga and sushi. Thinking about like a senior wanting to explore this, obviously doing this in a professional environment is key, to start. But what types of considerations should they take? Because I know some might be on a certain medication or have a certain condition. What should they be aware of, and what should they be telling someone if they came to you?
That is a question that I would have with your physician first if you were considering this. Is this right for me? Is it going to have any interactions with my drugs that I'm prescribed? When we look at heat specifically, is making sure that you're not staying in too long and the temperature is right for you. If you're somebody who's never done it before, do not get into 210 degrees. Err on the side of caution, go into the lighter side of things. And then we can also look at alternatives to traditional saunas and look at infrared saunas. Infrared saunas carry a lot of the same benefits, but they operate through light frequencies at a much lower temperature. So now we're looking at around 140 degrees as opposed to 170 or above.
Maybe this is like, I know I'm totally not giving you an opportunity to ask anything, but I'm fascinated. So stupid question, but is like cold plunge and like cryotherapy the same or similar in the same book? Or did I just say like
two very different things? Cold plunge, we have science that shows us that it can be quite beneficial. Cryotherapy, not so much.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, Bruce, your turn.
So, no, it's fine. So what about have you noticed anything helping with cognitive health and, someone's mental well-being?
Yes. So let's, again, focus on heat first. When you're exposed to heat, two things happen. One, there is a genetic molecule that's called FOXO3 that when we're exposed to deliberate high temperatures, it begins to produce a little bit more rapidly, or it's more activated, it's upregulated actually, and it helps to clear out the sentence cells, say that 3 times fast, in the brain. So in a English way of saying it, a molecule activates and helps activate your brain even more.
Wow.
Those who just by predisposition have a genetic predisposition to having more of these FOXO3 markers have been shown to live up to 2.7 times longer, or 2.7 times more likely to reach the age of 100.
Gosh, I would love to be 100, but then I also don't want to be 100.
So I'm just kind of curious because, like, if you don't have a sauna in your own home, or you don't have a gym where there's a sauna, where can you go to get a sauna or get a cold plunge?
So sauna, again, we can go outside. What's most important is just trying to heat your body to a higher temperature. So if an individual doesn't have one, you can sit outside in a couple layer of clothes. You can put a hoodie on. You can put one of the sweat suits on, the plastic sweat vest that you would see like a boxer or a wrestler wear to try to cut weight. That's going to promote that same level of heat exposure to the body. If doing those alternative methods, you just need to, again, take precautions, do it slowly, acclimatize some, and be very aware of how much you're raising your body temperature. For cold plunges, very similar. We can start with cold showers. Cold showers are actually, I think cold showers are much, much worse than a cold plunge, just because you're being pelted by all the little ice cubes at once. For a real good time, let it shower your armpits, super sensitive area, but it's going to, again, show some of those same acclimatizations that you would experience in a cold tub without having to actually have one.
I think I might be saunaing myself. I made that word up, by the way, every day. So I, God, it's so embarrassing. So every day the heated seats are on max in my car. I absolutely love it. People think I'm crazy. I have a heated blanket I sleep with every night. Like I desire to be like hot, like warm. Like I love that feeling. I think it's relaxing.
I'd say you're a perfect candidate for a sauna then.
Yeah, maybe I should get one in the house, right?
Well, is like a hot tub the same type of thing, or a hot bath?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's something that's going to raise your body temperature. You're going to see some similar benefits. We might not have as much data showing exactly what the benefits are, but we still know that it is doing something to promote longevity and similar biological processes than one experiences through sauna.
So thinking about, different alternative therapies and then, excuse me, like traditional things that people are going, where do you see that these align up and complement each other? And how would someone, what are they doing in traditional and alternative, and how can we bring them together?
In traditional medicine is I go to my doctor tells me what to do. That's all I'm going to do. The full alternative therapy would be I'm going to go on Dr. Google. I'm going to pick out what sounds like what's going to help me the most, and I'm going to do them all. We need to really pull from those and blend them together. So we need to do our due diligence research. We need to check in with professionals who actually know what they're speaking to and help guide you through an aging journey that's going to be more successful than if you were just doing one or the other.
I know it seems to be popular lately, like the IV businesses. So I've seen ones where they come to your house. I've seen the storefront versions. Is that something that you would include in this kind of alternative?
I think there's a time and a place for it. So being in Florida, if you're somebody who is a heavy sweater, an exerciser outside, and you find yourself more nutrient depleted than if you're somebody who exercises indoors and only in the winters, you might be looking to do some sort of electrolyte, magnesium, sodium replenishment. But we also need to know why we're doing the things that we do. Often a blood test can help dictate what IV infusions are right for you. And as always, speak to your physician before just allowing somebody to drop a needle.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So I was talking to my wife this morning, and I said, we're interviewing Dr. Sorenson. And she said, well, you must ask him this question. And I said, okay. And she said, what advice would you have for somebody who is 50 or 60 years old to successfully age and to, live many, many healthy years?
We look at the science. Look at the science. Look at the individuals who are real. There are so many out there who are trying to share the information on what we truly know is going to help you age better. We know that sauna is going to do all of these things. We know that cold plunge is going to do all of these things. Now we need to start doing them. It's great to read about it, but we need to put word to action. It's never too late, but it's also never too early. It can be too late, but it can't be too early to start trying.
5 minutes
things.
too early, rather than 5 years too late.
You nailed it.
There you
See,
go.
I knew your quote would come in today.
There we go. And I know, Susan, you were talking about this earlier about gut health.
Yeah.
And so can we just talk more about what is gut health and how important that is?
Gut health is going to be truly influenced over anything that you put into your mouth, whether it be food, beverage, pharmaceuticals. All of that is going to influence the biome, the entirety of the colon, your small intestine, your large intestine. And as Susan shared, that's where 70% of our immune system is. So we want to make sure that we're choosing our food selection, not to break you down, but maybe we don't want to do chips and salsa every day. We want to do more positive whole foods, full, rich in color, vitamins and nutrients to try to foster that positive environment.
And hydration?
Hydration helps everything. It's going to make you look younger. It's going to make your skin smoother. It's going to make you shine a little more, and it's going to assist in all of the other biological processes that help us live.
I think it's so easy, for argument's sake, like I sit at a desk, that's really ultimately what my job is. And it's easy to not hydrate. It's easy to order chips and dip for lunch. And, I think as professionals, so much of us are on the go doing things. We're so busy that you're kind of taking what's easy. And then I think as you get older, I see it with our clients, meals are a big problem. Either they don't want to cook or can't cook, or it's not a safe thing, so they're having their caregivers do it. And they're just living a more relaxed life too, sitting around, different things. I think when it comes to what you're eating, it's hard.
I agree. As a professional, it's very easy. Ultimately, for us who are very able-bodied, it bottoms out to being an excuse. It's the easy way out. It's something that we've allowed ourselves to do for so long that it is now habit. Yeah. And now we have to take those steps to try to break those habits. To a much lesser extent, for our senior population, I empathize 100%. I know that there are many who don't have access to all of these high-quality foods, or the easiest way out is just through the dining hall. You go out with your friends for your evening meal, and that's what's going to be it. And for those, we just have to educate as much as we can so that when they are making those food selections off the menu, it is the best choice for them. And that's where a physician can be involved as well in the education piece. Know what foods are available to them if they're living in a community, having access to those menus so they can really work directly with the individual.
Definitely including like diet in your care plan, I think, is so important. I'm such a picky eater, and I think part of that is really because I do have Crohn's, so I fear having flare-ups. But I think we encounter clients all the time, and the caregiver gives them cereal, they throw the cereal at the client's face, or they make them dinner, they don't want to eat it. And sometimes I think it comes down to they probably don't like that, but don't know how to tell you they don't like it because they have a cognitive decline or different things like that. And I think including what you liked, having a good healthy diet, including that in your care plan when you are cognitively intact is just going to help you. Because if I'm forgetful and have Alzheimer's and you give me fish, I promise you, I don't think I'm eating it because I hate fish now. So, and I worry about that with, the seniors. I think that, when you see some of them that are just not eating, there's different things. Having a conversation about nutrition, I think, is really important.
It's tough. It's really hard. And in a perfect world, we would have that caregiver involved in their care plan as well with the physician. So we know what the individual's preferences are. And we have this whole person approach to delivering them proper health, proper meals that they aren't going to turn around and throw at our face.
And I still think about the hydration because I don't think people drink enough water. And, especially seniors, they just, they don't drink enough water. And I know, you can kind of tell the color of your urine if you're, healthy or not healthy, and people just don't do it, and, my father-in-law, we talked to him. We're like, have you had your, glasses of water? Oh yeah, I've done it. I'm like, people don't do it. And it's so simple.
Yeah, and it's always there. We carry water bottles around. Everyone is gifted water bottles. It's every corporate gift, whatever. Yet we're still not drinking enough. And one of the things that I truly preach is don't get into the weeds on whether it's water, whether it's tea, whether it's coffee. You are still hydrating to a certain extent. Coffee, yes, we know it's a diuretic, but the amount of fluid that you're going to retain to that in the form of water is still going to be a higher percentage than the amount that's forced to be expelled. Where it's not a one-to-one is when we get into alcohol, but that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, I was just thinking, can I substitute beer for water? I'm like, no.
Yeah, we'll hydrate with vodka. Yeah, don't do that. So do you have any stories or different things that you could share where this, maybe someone came in and you met them and they were kind of bleh, and then they embraced this and it really was a positive impact?
So one thing with alternative therapies that we haven't really spoken about is we spoke to music therapy, but there are other forms of exercise. I think of yoga and I think of Tai Chi. Tai Chi is another form of alternative therapy that's been around for thousands of years and has the science backing to it to show the improvements in cognition as well as balance support. One of my favorite stories of working with a resident, he was 98 at the time. He came in, he said to me, "Robert, I want to keep playing golf." So I said, "Okay, let's get to work. We got a long way to go." He was a former judge. He was appointed to the federal court by Richard Nixon. And I worked with him for a good 3 months religiously, 3 times per week. And one day each week, we were doing Tai Chi. At first, he was doing it from a seated position. He couldn't stand for long lengths of time, but we got him there over time. And I remember he came in one day and he said, "Robert, I just played golf and I shot my age."
Oh.
I have no idea what the handicap was, but it didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
That smile was ear to ear, and I'll always remember that.
That's awesome.
And I truly attribute that to what he was practicing specifically with Tai Chi for both his balance to be able to do club swing.
Wow.
Great. I know you are undertaking a business in Bonita Springs. Can you share with our listeners what that's all about?
So I'm opening a 4,500 square foot modern day bathhouse in the city of Bonita Springs. It's called Sauna House, where half of the space is going to be dedicated to a public circuit where individuals can have full 2-hour access to a massive communal sauna. It'll have bleacher style seating capable of seating 30 individuals at a time, full access to a gender neutral locker room, showers, dry changing space, multiple cold plunge pools ranging from between 40 and 60 degrees. And then after you get out of those cold plunge pools, you have access to relax on seated furniture, which is going to help that rewarming phase, which is super important because that's when we're transitioning our white fat into our brown and our gray fat, which is the type that we like. So the cold plunge is helping to metabolize the bad, give you more of the good.
And what's the schedule and all that? What's the timing?
Timeline, we should be open before Thanksgiving 2024. So just a couple weeks away. It's been a 2+ year project, massive undertaking for me, and I couldn't be more excited to bring it to the world.
Is it near Shangri-La?
I can see the Shangri-La from my door front.
Wow.
So right, the Shangri-La, and then what is it? The Sugar Shack? Is that?
I was just gonna mention that. I
Yeah.
saw that for the first time the other night.
Yeah, Sugar Shack is something special. They're on our side of the road about 2 or 3 blocks north.
Okay,
Wow.
great. Well, congratulations. It's very exciting.
Thank
That's
you so
such
much.
a great area. It's really grown. There's some cool stuff there. That's where I was playing music bingo the other night.
Yeah,
It was right at the little food truck thing.
all the local businesses came out last night, depending on when this podcast posts. We had Halloween. The whole city came alive. Thousands and thousands of kids rolling through the street. Super, super cool time to be in the city of Bonita.
They're doing so much. I love it.
Great. If people wanted to reach you or contact you, what is the best way for them to do that?
My home address is, I'm kidding.
I'm like,
My through Sauna House Bonita Springs, email is bonitasprings@saunahouse.com. Also through social media, most likable way to reach me is Sauna House Bonita Springs.
What haven't we talked about that you want to talk about? What?
I know it's scary, but it truly is. It's good to do things that scare you, so that in life, when we eventually face these challenges, we have these accomplishments to draw back on as a prior experience. Getting into a 40-degree tub, getting into a 180-degree sauna is not something that people just jump out of bed and want to do. But the benefits there are so profound. We're talking about increased alertness. We're talking about decreased cortisol stress levels. We're talking about decreased risk of cardiovascular disease, decreased risk for Alzheimer's. And these are benefits that are accessible at any age, not just those into their 70s, 80s, and beyond, but those of us who are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. We need to be doing these now.
so you mentioned the cortisol thing. I think what's interesting is how these kind of things blow up on like social media. Like I feel like right now all I hear about is like decrease cortisol face, decrease cortisol face. But like I'd never heard of this before. So what are you like why do you think those things come up and kind of like I don't want to use the word fads, but like everyone's talking about that one word right now.
We just have so much more information. We're being blasted every time we go online, and we need to be able to filter out through what's true and what's promotional material. And to your point, cortisol is an easy hype word, but we also need to know what is actually working to decrease that cortisol level, and know that some cortisol is good. It's good. There is healthy stress and there's bad stress. So it's not something that we want to eliminate entirely. So if somebody's trying to sell you a drink or a product that's going to say live stress free, go the other way.
Crap, I bought the
Interesting.
drink product.
At V-Image Productions, we know that every story has its own rhythm, a unique look, and moments worth capturing. From photography that freezes time to cinematography that brings those moments to life, we don't just shoot, we create. Our passion for storytelling and attention to detail mean that each project, big or small, gets the same dedication, the same creativity, and the same V-Image touch. Whether it's a corporate event, social media content, or a promotional campaign, we're here to help you tell your story your way. V-Image Productions. Your image is our focus. Call today for more information at 239-287-5577.
And I'm curious about the sauna house. Is it a membership? Is it a one-time thing? Is it a doctor's orders? How does all that work?
This is a bathhouse for everyone. It's a drop-in, it's membership, it's punch card based. I mentioned that we have our public circuit, but we also have private small bookable rooms and one large private bookable room. So if you and 3 friends wanted to come and just enjoy all the passive benefits of sauna and cold plunge, you can set the mood, the lighting, the music, and enjoy it for 2 hours on your own. We have one large bookable room comfortably fitting for 10 to 12. So thinking about those corporate events, bachelorette parties. And I will emphasize that we are full tech free. It's an opportunity for individuals to do a digital detox, and we are alcohol free as well. We want this to be a positive wellness experience.
And the filtration of the water, and is that part of this thing that you've developed?
That has been one of the biggest challenges, is to make sure that the equipment that we've selected for in there is going to be able to last well beyond the business cycle, you know? So there is more technology packed into the tubs that we have than on a NASA spaceship.
Interesting.
Wow.
It's not going anywhere.
It's very interesting stuff.
Mhm.
I'm excited to come check it out.
So anything else for you all?
I mean, this I think is awesome information. I would encourage everyone to check it out. I love that you said to get uncomfortable, that's where growth is. And I love that you said it's a tech-free zone, because I think that all of us are to some degrees attached to a smartwatch, a phone, something. I know it's me. I can't help it that business calls. But I love the idea that you can have that. I think that we do need to start taking time away from that. Someone asked me the other day, like, why do you take ZQL every night to sleep? And I'm like, well, I can't turn my brain off. And I can't turn my brain off because I don't think I'm ever teaching my brain to turn off. I'm constantly on.
It's wild. We're in a loneliness epidemic, yet we've never been more connected. And unfortunately, the connection is largely through the other side of a screen. So the one of the other big drivers for this is community. You can come in and just have a conversation with someone. It's not them always looking down at their phone, responding to a text message. Turn off for those 2 hours and know that you're doing something that's not just going to benefit you for the short term. It's going to benefit you for the long term as well, in terms of wellness outcomes.
I feel like this is such a great gift to give like a colleague or a team member. It's got me thinking about, Christmas around the corner, and I always want to give the team good, meaningful gifts. But, what better than to give someone something that could help their health and well-being, allow them to, disconnect. And you're right. We're lonely, but yet we're connected. And what are we connected to? An influencer on the other side of the screen telling us to buy a drink product that I bought, or whatever, or worried about your post getting whatever likes and stuff. But there is something about just sitting down and having a conversation with someone and them looking at you or not staring at your phone. I think that, that would be refreshing, wouldn't it?
And I just friended you on Facebook, and I saw that you were on top of some trees somewhere.
I do live a rather active lifestyle. I try to break away at least once a year with my partner, and we go somewhere in the Carolinas, somewhere where we know that she and I can just hike for several days. So that was at, I think, Bald Knob, perhaps, north of Greenville, South Carolina.
Wow.
My mom was not happy about that.
I bet.
No. Now I got to check it out. I just saw this beautiful thing in the Carolinas. They're like, I don't know, maybe like a retreat you can go to, and they look like igloos. Oh. So when the sun goes down, you're in the igloo, but it's all glass, so you can see everything. And they have like a hot tub, and I mean, you're right there on the side. I mean, you just see everything in it. I saw that and I thought, wouldn't that be a nice vacation? And in the thing, it said, we don't have Wi-Fi. And I was like, oh my gosh. That's
telling right there.
Yeah. So I think that that's probably maybe the next big push, is as much as we're connected on social media, that we do need to detox a little from that addiction.
Agree.
So Dr. Sorenson, it's great having you here.
Yeah.
Thank you for working with our schedules. I really appreciate it. Our next episode will be episode 7, Unveiling the Heart of Hospice Care, with Jeff Alexander. So it's going to be very interesting. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you. See you next week.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media. You can also find more information and resources at www.theaginggamepodcast.com.